It's like we're the ones that's living it. I'm class of 26, so I'm going to be in school for 3 more years, and I need the most out of my schools.
The state of Maryland has an obligation to provide a thorough and efficient education to all public school children in Maryland. The Bradford versus the State Board of Education is specifically focused on Baltimore City's education, children in Baltimore City, as decades and generations of students and families have been subjected to underfunding in their schools.
We kind of wasn't learning anything, so it was like hard. And then recently we just had got our teacher, and now it's like we way behind.
We're the ones who are suffering from it, and I feel like if I have a problem with it, maybe more other students have a problem with it, and it's affecting them academically.
We are failing because we don't have any teachers, and it's not our fault that we're failing because we wasn't given any work, learning anything. So our grades are low because we're not learning.
Almost $4 billion is needed in addition to that billion that we secured to modernize all schools. And that money is just not there. So the promise of providing constitutionally adequate funding has been broken.
I feel like with my voice, I can make a change with how schools are struggling or what's going on in the community at the moment. I feel like my voice should be heard so I can speak up for other students in the school.
Help the kids instead of just leaving them with the torn up books that they have, holes in the walls, the water has lead in it, no pencils, no paper. Just helping the kids so they can actually get a better output from school. And the curriculum has been the same for many years. And stuff that worked back then may not work now.
Society is sending them the message that their lives are not valued, right? That their education doesn't matter, right? So there needs to be a pedagogical approach to teaching and learning to help students process these things, right? So that they can develop strong identities, strong Black and brown identities, and believe that when they graduate, that they can pursue their dreams.
I just want to get the proper learning for biology.
The issue in the Bradford case is that the state is not providing the funding that the city schools need in order to meet those standards. The city schools do not have enough teachers. They don't have enough teachers because they can't afford to pay them well enough. The city schools do not have enough social workers. They do not have enough administrators. They do not have enough librarians. And then, as you all know, the city schools have facilities that are in extremely deteriorating.
Baltimore City has a dreadful issue with class sizes. We all know that we don't have enough teachers. Y'all can agree upon that, right?
Yes.
We all know that we don't have enough money, right?
And so, what the Bradford case is seeking to obtain is an order of the court requiring the state to pay the money that it ought to provide to the city in order for the city to have the educational program that it needs to have.
So it was a court issued an order declaring that there needed to be at least an additional $2,600 per student in Baltimore City. Now, what ended up happening is that the state never really lived up to that promise. And that's part of the reason why we've come back to court now in order to say, the state never did what it was supposed to do. Judge, you're supervising this. We're asking you to step in and make them pay what Baltimore City is owed.
And we are taking on this fight by putting pressure on our elected officials. And, honestly letting them know this is something that means a lot to a lot of the people that you represent. And if you don't listen to this, we'll let everybody know that you didn't support us in the one thing that we asked you for and needed, right? So that's the other thing. We can talk, right? But we gotta put pressure on these folks to let them know, like, I'm not voting for you next time, and I'm telling all my friends and family the same thing. That's the other part of the advocacy. We need to be able to have a voice in that fight.
This is a pretty good picture of what structural racism looks like, right? In terms of this issue of adequate funding.
But we still need to put major pressure on all of the city delegation members, as well as the legislature as a whole. We can't let this slip through our fingers again.
So we're going to be in court in a week, and that's what we're going to be asking for. We're here, this is Bradford versus the State Board of Education, and today we're going to argue for summary judgment, right? The state, we are contending that the state is in violation of their constitutional requirement of providing adequate funding for Baltimore City schools for all the resources that are needed for students to meet state-adopted educational standards, right? So that's what we're here today for.
We're here today arguing the motions for summary judgment, in which we're seeking for the court to declare that the Maryland State Board of Education has been violating the Maryland Constitution by underfunding Baltimore City public school children for decades. And as a result, the Baltimore City public school system is struggling and needs increased funds in order to be able to provide students with an education that is adequate by contemporary standards.
And I'll just add that the Legal Defense Fund brings cases about racial justice, and the Baltimore City Schools is comprised mostly of Black and brown kids who are being denied their constitutional right to an adequate education, who have been neglected by the state for decades. This case has been going on for decades, and so we're here today to ask the court to demand right now funding that will start to address the chronic underfunding that the school district has had to suffer from for a number of years.
We want more for our schools. We want more for the kids that's in our community.